With the rainy season suddenly upon us, everything is changing how it looks. The sky, the ground, the plants, everything is very different. It is now 48 hours since we had our downpour, and it's visibly a different country already. Plants that were brown and limp just 2 days ago are now green and lush. Things change very quickly. We already have green grass sprouting all over the ground. Everything is dark from holding all the moisture in the ground and so forth. And that brings up a question in our community here today. I was asked, Scott, what happens during the rainy season as far as access to and the openness of tourist activities around the country? Are you still able to do things during the rainy season? Are you able to access them, or does everything just shut up and close down for the season? So we're going to talk about that right after the bump. So keep in mind, when we're talking about the rainy season and the dry season here, we're talking about 6 months and 6 months, almost exactly. So anything that happens during the course of a season is a really long time. If businesses such as the beach, restaurants, hotels, and so forth were to close up during the rainy season, you're talking about being actually closed for 6 months out of the year. And that rainy season is during the American normal holiday season, often including spring break, definitely including school summer vacation. Major times for tourism. So while the rainy season may be overall a slightly lower season than the highest traffic season for tourists here, we are roughly even year round. There are certainly spikes. Days like Semana Santa are really bad and really a lot of tourists, and immediately after very little. But in general, when you're looking month to month throughout the year, it's not these big spikes and troughs the way that you might expect in a lot of places. Certainly during American holidays, Christmas, summer, and so forth, there's a lot of people coming from North America, and you see spikes because of foreign holidays, definitely. But those things are basically just completely predictable in that way, and the weather and situations here in Nicaragua have very little impact on whether people are coming or not. Under normal circumstances, people don't really consider whether it's the rainy season or the dry season at all when they're looking at Nicaragua. Generally, people don't look at seasons in the tropics at all for whatever reason, but it mostly makes sense. Very little is actually going to impact you on a day-to-day basis. If you're coming down during the dry season, it is true. You essentially have sunlight all day, every day, and it's just going to stay that way. But the length of days is about 30 minutes shorter. We are not actually on the equator. We are in the northern hemisphere, so we do get slightly longer, but very slightly longer days during the rainy season, which contributes to the slightly higher temperatures, but a lot more energy to bring the water out of the atmosphere. So that's what we see going on. I do have to point out, in the first days of the rainy season, we do have the worst insects of the year. All those insects who have the eggs waiting to hatch when they first get to water come out all at once, and it is terrible. We have a ton of construction going on in the house to find all the places where insects are coming in and deal with it. This is when the exterminators are super busy. This is not exactly, so if there's a couple days to miss, you can't pick when the first rain of the season is, but it tends to be a day that brings a lot of dust out of the air because we have Saharan dust collects in this region, and all the insects come out. So that first week is kind of rough, but after that it gets pretty nice. So we really don't shut down or have any changes during the rainy season because everything is about the same. And keep in mind that the rain generally only comes for 1 to 3 hours per day. And there are certainly days like today, there's no additional rain. We're looking at the sky, it's pretty clear. We're not expecting any rain today. It could come tonight. That does happen at times. But more typically, we get rain in the mid to late afternoon, a little bit before sunset in most cases. We're not talking about an all-day rain or a 24-hour rain or anything like that. And I think everyone understands that, because that would be a total flood that would be completely impossible to deal with. That's more rain than anyone anywhere can take. But what we generally get is small amounts of rain just in the afternoon. So everybody's able to plan around this for the most part. And yeah, sometimes it rains at night. Once in a while it rains in the morning, but generally it's not that much. It's just more or less every day during much of the season. So because of that, you still have most of the day that you can walk around and do things, and it's just rain. You can walk around and do things in the rain. This is a country that has to deal with an awful lot of rain, so every building, everything in life is designed around handling rain. We do try to avoid driving in really heavy flooding conditions, but even then, we're often going out to dinner and driving around the city when it's raining really, really hard. Yeah, water might be up to the axle of our vehicle. That's normal. You just drive carefully. You do get to know the streets. If you are the driver and you're new to Nicaragua, probably best not to drive during the rain. Just get a taxi driver, get a private driver, let them do the driving. They know where the things to look out for are underneath the water and so forth. They're used to it in their own cities. It's normal, right? So we go out and do things in really heavy rain all the time. If we can, stall by a little bit, it's like, oh, I was about to go out and get a coffee. You know what? It's pouring rain. I'm going to wait 30 minutes and see if it stops. Yeah, of course we do those things. But in general, we're not realigning our lives to deal with the fact that it's the rainy season, and we don't think about it in that context at all. Basically, you're going to find that nothing closes or changes because it's the rainy season. Now, the other part of that question, though, is how is accessibility? Certainly, if you're talking about, very backwoods, dirt roads, things that are really rough that you're already struggling to drive down during the dry season, yes, going down during the rainy season means day-to-day unpredictability. You don't know how much flooding there may have been the day before. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what they've been able to repair or not. The rainy season does rip up a lot of roads because suddenly, especially on really heavy rains, right? A normal day is fine, but you can have a day that kind of surprises everyone. You get a really heavy rain and suddenly it washes away some pavers or it blows a manhole cover off or something, like, because you'll have kind of a storm surge. I guess it is a storm surge, but not like a hurricane. It's like a whole bunch of water goes into the storm drains and pushes manhole covers up from time to time. That kind of stuff can happen, and they got to get out and fix those things. Or sometimes suddenly a flash flood will come across a road and rip up some pavement, and they got to get out and repair that. But those things can come as surprises. If you watch some of our videos where we drive out to Salinas Grandes or Playa Tesoro or up to Honduras, we've got some really rough roads out there from time to time, and those will change dramatically with any given rainstorm, and so you do need to be a little bit prepared for that. But the majority of tourists who are doing tourist activities here in the country aren't going to be out on those roads. If you are intentionally doing the off-grid, going on dirt roads out into the middle of nowhere type stuff, you're always taking a risk about accessibility or creating some difficulty with accessibility. But if you're doing normal things, going to the normal cities, going to the normal tourist destinations, whether it's Ometepe, San Juan del Sur, Granada, Leon, Managua, Masaya, up into the mountains with Matagalpa, Esteli, Jinotega, you're in a true epic hurricane. Yeah, you could end up with a few problems because of the mountain roads. Extremely rare because they're paved, like they're meant to take inundations. Now, maybe Somoto Canyon, because that, if you're going to see the canyon, no problem. If you're going to go rafting down the river, of course the volume of water is going to be affected by the rains. That's one of the really rare activities that will actually change. If you go to La Cascada, Cascada La Luna up in Matagalpa, right? Of course, the view will change because it's a waterfall. So during the rainy season, you'll have more volume going over the waterfall. In dry season, you'll have less, of course. That doesn't change your experience with it. You'll still be able to do the zip line. You'll still be able to go swimming. You'll still be able to go down to the bottom of the fall. You'll still be able to do all the same things. It's just what it looks like changes a little bit. So in general, you're going to have almost no impact from the rainy season. If you are driving yourself around the country, you have a really tight schedule, it could slightly impact your movement plans and your arrival times at different events. So it will slightly detour the ability to maintain a really accurate schedule. That's about the extent of what you're going to find. In general, it's going to have minor impact unless you're one of those people that's just super averse to the rain. It's actually my preferred season by far, and I do not find that it negatively impacts my ability to do activities whatsoever, and I have no memory of having ever been in a situation where I couldn't go where I wanted to go because of so much flooding or a change in road conditions. Now, again, I'm very rarely going out to places where I have to drive on really rough roads. I'm not bringing a 4x4 out and wading through, things that a normal car couldn't pass through under normal circumstances. It's just not a big thing to my day-to-day life, and probably not for yours either. But if you're here to do adventure backpacking out in the middle of the jungle, yeah, you may have to plan a little bit specially for that. But that's going to be extremely rare, and I do not know that I've ever met someone who was actively impacted by that. So I would say don't worry about whether it's wet or dry season. Yeah, it may require a change in your dress code. In one case, it's, you can be in linens. You're prepared to just, the only thing you're worried about is getting sweaty. The other, yeah, you may want something that can shed a little bit of water or darker colors or whatever. If you're in the dry months, you're much more likely to wear whites and linen colors. And if you're here in the rainy season, you're much more likely to wear blacks and so forth. Plan on the fact that you may get really wet. That's the big difference, but that's about it. So thanks for joining me. Like and subscribe if you'd like to help support the channel. You can buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Scott Allen Miller. It's like Patreon, comes directly to me and helps make everything we do here possible. And of course, we got a join button down there. It's $5 a month, and it gives you the warm and fuzzy and being a part of the community, but it also gets you into our private communications chat room, and that is where sometimes, very rarely, but I just did it this week, we had a kind of angry-ish response video that I put up there, and I sat on it for a couple months, and I let the community members view it, and about 30 people did, and I got feedback, and no one said not to post it. A few people said to post it, a bunch of people didn't respond, but nobody said don't post it, and so we decided to go ahead and post it. And hopefully it went over well, right? But that's where you can get a little additional voice within the community. Remember to join our WhatsApp group, send in your own questions, get down in the show notes, anything you could possibly need for contacting me or sending in information, all is right in there. Thank you so much for joining me. Share on social media, tell a friend about the show, and I will see all of you tomorrow.